Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yashoda Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Jai Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jai Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadramai, Jaya Jagannatha. Jaya Radha Vallabha, Radha Vallabha, Shri Radhe. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Vishnupada Paramsa Parivajikacharya Ashtottara Shatasri. His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Vishnupada Paramsa Parivajikacharya Ashtottara Shatasri. His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Grandhara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narancheva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhiraye. Hare Krishna. We are reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, chapter entitled The Lord Slays the King of the Demons. And we are reading verse number 3 and 4. So these two verses are together. I will chant the first verse, verse number 3. You can repeat after me. Kopavesha chalat ghatra Putram hantum manodade Kshiptva parushaya vacha Prahradam atadarhanam Kopavesha chaladgatra Putram hantum manodade Kshiptva parushaya vacha Prahradam atadarhanam Kopavesha chaladgatra Putram hantum manodade Kshitva parushaya vacha prahradam atadarhanam kopavesha chaladghatra prahrada atadarhanam kopavesha chalapata tram hantum manodade kshiptva parushaya vacha praradam atadarhanam kopavesha chaladghatra putram hantum manodade kshitva parushaya vacha praradam atadarhanam. Vaishnavis. Yeah. Kopavesha chaladghatra putram hantum manodade kshitva parushaya vacha praradam atadarhanam. Vaishnavis. Kopavesha chaladghatra putram hantum manodade kshiptva parushaya vacha prahradam atadarhanam. Manodade Adarhanam. Kopavesha, by a very angry mood. Chalat, trembling. Gatraha, the whole body. Putram, his son. Hantum, to kill. Manaha, mind. Dhade, fixed. Kshiptva, rebuking. Parushaya, with very harsh. Vacha, words. Prahradam, Prahlada Maharaja. Atat arhanam, not fit to be chastised. Due to his noble character and tender age. Aha, said, Ikshamanaha, looking at him in anger. Papena, because of his sinful activities. Tiraschinena, crooked. Chakshusha, with eyes. Prashraya, avanatam, very gentle and mild. Dantam, very restrained. Baddha, Baddha Anjalim, having folded hands. Avasthitam, situated. Sarpaha, a snake. Padahataha, being trampled by the foot. Iva, like. Shwasan, hissing. Prakruti, by nature. Darunaha, very evil. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. When Hiranyakashipu understood the entire situation, he was extremely angry. So much so that his body trembled. Thus, he finally decided to kill his son Prahlada. Hiranyakashipu was by nature very cruel, and feeling insulted, he began hissing like a snake trampled upon by someone's foot. His son Prahlada was peaceful, mild and gentle. His senses were under control. And he stood before Hiranyakashipu with folded hands. According to Prahlada's age and behavior, he was not to be chastised. Yet with staring, crooked eyes, Hiranyakashipu rebuked him with the following harsh words. Purport. When one is impudent toward a highly authorized devotee, one is punished by the laws of nature. The duration of his life is diminished, and he loses the blessings of superior persons and the results of pious activities. Hiranyakashipu, for example, had achieved such great power in the material world that he could subdue practically all the planetary systems in the universe, including the heavenly planet Swargaloka. Yet, now because of his mistreatment of such a Vaishnava as Prahlad Maharaj, all the results of his tapasya diminished. As stated in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 10.4.46, Ayush Shriyam Yasho Dharmam Lokan Ashisha Evacha Hanti Shreyamsi Sarvani Pumsho Mahad Atikramaha. When one mistreats great souls, his lifespan, opulence, reputation, religion, possessions, and good fortune are all destroyed. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakata Mahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I seek blessings of all the Vaishnavas, Surabhi Mataji, to speak on Śrīmad Bhāgavatam for my own purification. Here in the verse it is mentioned, Hiranyakashipu understood the entire situation. So in the previous chapter we heard how Prahlad Maharaj was expertly preaching to his schoolmates what he had learned from Narada Muni. So after that, Shanda and Amarka understood that these boys are not behaving normally anymore, all these demoniac sons. So the report went to Hiranyakashipu. So Hiranyakashipu understood, this is my son, he is preaching to all these Daityas. And then, so we have just read the reaction of Hiranyakashipu. In general, if any son in any family, if children are not listening, none of the parents, they kill their children, that you are not listening to me. Now we see this such a extreme example that Hiranyakashipu, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam is giving to us.
And we never heard that somebody kills their own children because they are not listening to them. Have you ever seen in this world? No. Very extreme, isn't it? We may have seen if somebody is not listening to us or not following what we said, may be killed. Now we have seen in the examples of our devotee community also in Russia, so where country was against to preaching of Krishna consciousness, and early days devotees were put into jail and interrogated, tortured and killed in the jail. And we have read that book, Sarvabhauma Prabhu's Salted Bread. But none of the parents does this, unless until they are so much extreme cruel. So that's why here it is mentioned, Hiranyakashipu was like a snake. If somebody, have you ever tried? Have you ever got experience of, trampling a snake with your foot? Have you ever seen? Yeah? Yes, Prabhu? Oh. Mm-hmm. Mm. Mm. And it is mentioned in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, 2nd canto, that when Lord Brahma got angry after his first set of sons, 4 Kumaras, they did not listen to his father. So Brahma got angry. So from that anger, from his nostrils, who appeared? Rudra appeared. And Rudra, when he appeared, he was so angry, he was destroying everything. So Brahma gave him different places to be present. So one of the places he says, the snakes. One of the places in the purport also, Srila Prabhupada mentions that there are different animals and different creatures we see, they are very angry. So one of the anger personified creature is a snake. And we also see lions. So they are places where anger is there. And we see in the example of Hiranyakashipu how much anger he must have carrying. How much anger he must be carrying that he is ready to kill his own son. Now generally, children are considered own body, separated. So we see when Ashwadhama, after he killed 4 sons of Draupadi, 5 sons, Upapandavas. So when Arjuna caught him and brought him back to Draupadi, Draupadi was telling, no, don't kill him. He is a representative of his father. And in that, it is mentioned that a son is a father's representative. And here in this case, Prahlad Maharaj is such a saintly son, and Hiranyakashipu wanted to kill him just because he is not listening what his father is asking him to do. And he is going against. He says, no, you are worshipping the enemy. Why he is considered the Lord as enemy? Because Lord killed Hiranyaksha. Lord killed Hiranyaksha. And we also heard the story how Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha was born from Vaikunta. They fall down and become Jaya Vijaya became Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. And 3 births. One birth they were Ravana and Kumakarna. Another birth, last birth, Shishupala and Dantavakra. But that's okay, they become, demons. But this is such an extreme example, extreme case, Hiranyakashipu's. And in Bhagavad Gita, we read in the 2nd chapter, Krishna explains what actually happens for one to develop anger. So in the section Sthita Prajna, section, Krishna explains that what is the cycle? Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsham. So when one develops attachment to the sense object, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsat Sangasteshu Pajayate, he develops attachment. And from that attachment, what develops? Lust develops, kama. So, and when the lust develops, lust, if it is fulfilled, what happens? It turns to greed. When the lust is not fulfilled, that lust turns to greed. So both the sides we can see. If the lust is fulfilled, that turns to greed, and if the lust is not fulfilled, turns to anger. And when the anger is there, and next verse, Krishna explains that, and one loses his memory. Shmuti Brahmshan Buddhinasho Buddhinashat Pranashyati. So that's the whole sequence. That's why we see in the case of Hiranyakashipu also, he developed such a great attachment for the sense object that my son has to listen to me. He is going to be the next demonious king, but he is not behaving like that. And he is siding to my enemy. He is siding to my enemy. So, his lust, his desire not fulfilled. So, anger. And in that anger, because he is the greatest demon, so great anger. Buddhinashat pranashyati. So now he is decided to kill his son. But we also read in this in the translation how Prahlad Maharaj is situated. Although his father is very much angry, but Prahlada, his son Prahlada was peaceful, mild and gentle. His senses were under control. So these are the symptoms of a great devotee. These are the symptoms of Mahajana. These are the symptoms of pure devotees. So these are the ornaments of a devotee. Sadhava, Sadhubhushana. So they are pretty much fixed. Even there is a irrevocable situations, they are not at all favorable. But still Prahlad Maharaj, he is peaceful, mild and gentle. And his senses were under control. On the contrast, we see Hiranyakashipu, he is not peaceful and he is not mild, he is not gentle and his senses not control, and he is ready to kill his son. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada very nicely mentioned, so what are the consequences if one becomes angry at a devotee? Especially the pure devotees, authorized devotees. That's why Prabhupada mentioned, when one is impudent toward a highly authorized devotee, one is punished by the laws of nature. So we see in the coming verses how Lord himself appears to kill Hiranyakashipu. And it is also mentioned that the duration of his life is diminished and he loses the blessings of superior persons and the results of pious activities. Can you think of any examples from the scriptures that other than Hiranyakashipu, that somebody got angry, need not to be a devotee or even to the devotee, that they lost their piety? Because here it is mentioned that one loses the results of pious activities also. One loses the blessings of superiors and also pious activities. Can you think of any examples? Indra? How? Mm-hmm. Vishwamitra? Yes. How? Yeah, with Ramba, when Ramba came. So there it is mentioned that Vishwamitra, first time when he understood, I was disturbed by the Apsara sent by Indra, but he gently Menaka was trembling. Menaka was trembling that Vishwamitra maybe cursed me. But he didn't say anything, mildly he said. But next time when Ramba came, he got so angry. He got so angry. So that time, again, Vishwamitra thinks, oh, again I got angry and I lost all my piety. So he had to undergo again severe tapasya to regain that. Durvasa. Yeah, Durvasa Muni got angry at whom? Ambarish Maharaj. So that he has to come back and beg forgiveness from Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni has to beg forgiveness from Ambarish Maharaj. And it is, the name Durvasa is so interesting that, what's the meaning? Durvasa, one cannot able to go along with him, live along with him. Now imagine you living with somebody, Durvasa kind of person, you cannot go along with him. For everything he will get angry or, poke you. So difficult, isn't it? And generally, in the association of devotees, we don't have such kind of problem. If some devotee is progressing, no other devotee, try to impede you. At least if somebody going for Mangalarti every day, they say, okay, you go, I'll take rest. But nobody shows envy. Nobody shows envy if you are progressing. You are chanting 16 rounds, sitting at one place, nobody come and poke you to disturb you. There's at least one good thing is there among the devotees. Unless somebody, uncontrolled senses, he may be do something harmful out of envy. But we don't see in general. But here in this case is such an extreme example. Can you think of any other examples from the scriptures that a devotee put into a very awkward situation like Prahlad Maharaj? Because Prahlad Maharaj, his father wanted to kill him. His father wanted to kill him just because he is following principles of devotional service. He is a devotee, that's why he wanted to kill. Can you think of any other person? Maharaj Parikshit. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Mataji. So Maharaj Parikshit also, he was very peaceful. When he heard the news that he was cursed by the Brahmana by Shringi, he was very peaceful. And he composed and fit himself to render devotional service. And by the mercy of the Lord, Sukadeva Goswami came. By that mercy, we are able to read Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. And any other example? Huh? Vidura? Yes. Vidura also same. When he was insulted by Duryodhana, he was peaceful. Okay, now my time done. I will go on pilgrimage. He went happily pilgrimage. Jadabharat? Yes. When Maharaj Rahugana, when he was chastising, he was very calm, peaceful. When time came, he gave instructions to the king. Anything in the Chaitanya Charitamrita? Yeah, very good example. True. Yeah. Yes. Gopal Chapal. Yeah, he got leprosy after that because he wanted to bring Haridas Thakur's position down, so he got leprosy. But what did Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's reaction when Chapal Gopal, because Mahaprabhu comes to Navadvip, that time Chapal Gopal goes to meet Mahaprabhu because he stays near the Ganges. Whenever Lord comes, he wants to meet the Lord. So one day he meets the Lord, he tells, I am in our day-to-day relationships, You are like my nephew, I am your uncle, you please forgive me. But Mahaprabhu says, no, because you want to insult my devotee, Haridas Thakur. So he says, you will permanently go to hell. Any other example? True. Ramchandra Puri, when he was telling Mahaprabhu, you eating too much, but all the devotees agitated, but Mahaprabhu was composed. What about Haridas Thakur? Haridas Thakur, just because he was chanting Hare Krishna, the Muslim Qazi in Fuliagram, that Qazi goes to King of Bengal and reports this Haridas Thakur got such a high birth in Muslim family, but he is following Hindus. He considered born as a Muslim is a high birth. And the king says, okay, because he become very envious, because when Haridas Thakur came to Fuliagram, all the great devotees in that area, they become very much enchanted by his loud chanting and beautiful bodily features of Haridas Thakur. But this Kaji became very much envious of him. And he went and reported to King of Bengal. And King of Bengal asked Haridas to come. So when Haridas Thakur came to the king, immediately they imprisoned him. And all the imprisoned other prisoners, they thought, oh, we got such a great opportunity to meet Haridas Thakur. And they were very much eager to see Haridas Thakur. And because Haridas Thakur is continuously chanting, always, 24 hours, he is continuously engaged in loud chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And when these prisoners saw that Haridas Thakur's bodily symptoms, they were enchanted, and they are also started chanting. We also see when devotees were arrested, that news went to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada said, okay, you just chant. Outside you have to chant. Inside also you chant. And all the devotees started preaching to the prisoners. And finally they had to release devotees. So where that example is coming from? That Haridas Thakur himself is setting that example. And when the prisoners were chanting, because Haridas Thakur, he was blessing them. All these prisoners came nearby Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur blessing them, you stay as you are. And all the prisoners thinking, what kind of blessing is this? We are in the prison and Haridas Thakur blessing us, you stay as you are. And then Haridas Thakur has to explain to them, what is that blessing? Haridas Thakur tells, okay, I know you didn't understand my blessing, I will explain to what this means. He says, by seeing me, you all got that Krishna Prem and you are chanting very nicely and you got that devotion naturally came out. So you stay in that consciousness. You stay in that consciousness as you are, leaving all the attachments and developing attachment to the Lord. So that's why when we go outside, people come, when we're doing Harinam, so people come, they see the loud chanting and they feel so beautiful, they mesmerize and they also chant. So as a devotee, our blessings to them, you stay as you are. Not in the material world, the ecstasy you got, you stay as you are. And later, a king calls, he asks for explanation. Haridas, you got such a great birth, why you are chanting? And Haridas naturally tells, Lord inspired me to chant. So if a Hindu becomes Muslim, that's his misfortune, but Lord will not stop him. Similarly, I got attracted to the holy names of the Lord, and Lord inspired me to do that, and I am chanting the same Lord what you are praying, to whom you are offering prayers. But Kaji says, the king is okay, but the Kaji is very much envious to Haridas Thakur. And Kaji says, no, we should give appropriate punishment to him. What was the punishment awarded after that? Yeah, beaten in the 22 marketplaces. Have you seen the Koroda? What you call that? Whip? Have you ever seen Koroda? Whip? No? It has a little stick at one end and a long string of leather, a strong string of leather. And leather is very much, it has very high tension and it cannot break so easily. And in olden days, they used this to punish somebody. Even, and in school also we used to play. Take a big rumal and make it thin rope, and we used to, as a play thing, we used to do like remember? And see, Haridas Thakur's given this punishment, 22 marketplaces beat him to the death. Beat him to death. Just for what? He is chanting holy names. He is chanting holy name, he became a devotee. Just because of one person's envy, he wanted to kill Haridas Thakur, such a great devotee.
But he was praying, Lord, to forgive them.
Yes. And as they were beating him, but Haridas, he is not dying. They had to pray, if you don't die, this Kaji will kill us. You please die. Haridas Thakur said, okay, you want me to die? That's okay, I will die. But when they were beating, he was praying, as Prabhu said, he was praying that, oh Lord, these people doesn't know what they are doing. You please forgive them. Same like Jesus Christ also. So he says, these people don't know what they are doing. All these are the symptoms of great devotees. They are peaceful, even in the case of reverses. Yes, but Mahaprabhu taking all this, all the beatings. But so far he hasn't met Mahaprabhu. So far he hasn't met Mahaprabhu. But his devotion was firm and fixed. Similarly, we see Prahlad Maharaj didn't see Narsingadev. He didn't get darshan of the Lord, but he was very firm and fixed in his devotion. So similarly, in our day-to-day activities also, we haven't got darshan, but still we should be fixed in our devotion, in spite of all the reversals. And finally, as Haridas Thakur told them, I will die. So he went into trance. He went into deep meditation of the Lord, in Samadhi. So everybody thought he died. So finally they took him to Kaji. And Kaji said, first they said, we should bury him. But according to them, if they bury, he will go to higher destinations. But Kaji said, he should not get higher destination, he should be thrown into Ganges. But as they were taking to Ganges, he was very much erect and he was not able to move. So they were trying to move Haridas Thakur, but he was not able to move. And finally everybody left. Haridas Thakur got into consciousness. He was loudly chanting and gone. And everyone thought he is great saint. And finally the king himself comes and begs forgiveness from Haridas Thakur. He tells, you are a great saint, please forgive us. And similarly, we see in many devotees' cases also. So we are so fortunate that, nobody stops us doing our devotional service except our own mind, because sometimes it acts as an enemy. Other than that, we don't have pretty much, nobody is stopping us doing what we are doing, our day-to-day sadhana. Anybody here has somebody stopping you from doing your devotional service? No. Only our mind stops us to go deep. So our enemy is our own mind. But we have to take shelter of the Lord in all the different processes, especially the 5 potent forms. So that is very, very much important for us to overcome our mind dictations, our mind's, inimical behavior. So what are the 5 potent forms? So we have chanting the holy name, association of the devotees, deity worship, reciting Bhagavatam, and living in the dhams. Yeah, so these 5 potent forms are very, very important to come out of our mental platform.
A, B, C, D, E.
A, B, C, D, E.
A, association, B, books,
Books.
C, chanting, D, deity worship, and E, prasada.
Thank you, Prabhu. So, with that, we can overcome our limitations. And as it is mentioned, Prabhupada very nicely mentioned that, so we should not develop any anger towards the devotees. Because when we develop all our piety, all our good qualities will diminish. As we develop enmity to any living entity, not just to devotees, to any person, any living entity, all our good qualities, fortune, our tapasya, results, and our piety, everything diminishes. And Krishna also mentions how to control anger. He mentions, in the 2nd chapter, he gave the process, how it leads to the fall down of a person. And in the 3rd chapter, Arjuna asks how a person acts helplessly. And what is the answer Krishna gives? That lust. Lust is the only enemy that everybody has in this world. Mahapapam, he says. Mahapapam. And he says that lust, when it is unfulfilled, it turns to anger. I'll read that translation. In the 3rd chapter, 37th verse. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells that Prakrute kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasha ahankara vimudatma karataham iti manyate. So, because of the, sorry, not this verse, 37th verse. Shri Bhagavan uvacha kama yesha krodha yesha rajoguna samudbhava mahashano mahapapma vidya enam iha vairinam. So this is the enemy, vairinam. What is that vairina? Kama and krodha. These are the mahapapna. And how kama and krodha develops? Because of the passion. So because of the passion. Translation: the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjuna, which is born of contact with the material mode of passion, and later transformed into wrath, which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. So whenever we get angry, so this is the reference point, because we are in the mode of passion. Mahapapna. And it is said, all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. And you see, our daily sadhana, the 5 potent forms, brings us automatically, it puts us in the mode of goodness. So when you come to Mangalarati, sitting along with the devotees and chanting, So although we may have different modes acting on us, but just because we are associating with this, we are elevated from the passionate nature to goodness and even surpassing the goodness. And another place also Krishna mentions, because for a devotee it is very important that we surpass the material modes. And he says in the 4th chapter, Vitaraga Bhayakroda Manmaya Mam Upashitaha Bhavato Jnana Tapasa Puta Mad Bhavam Agataha. So Krishna mentioning that being freed from attachment, fear and anger, being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So we all want to develop transcendental love for Krishna. And Krishna is giving how we have to. So he is telling first, Vitaraga Bhayakroda. So we have to freed from attachment, we have to free from fear, and we have to be free from anger. And absorbed in his devotional service. And again, in the 5th chapter also Krishna mentions, in 5th chapter 23rd verse, he says, before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the forces of desire and anger, he will situated and is happy in this world. So again here Krishna is mentioning, we have to leave that anger. And again in the 26th verse also he says, Kama Krodha Vimuktanam. Vimuktanam. He says, those who are freed from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future. So you see, continuously Krishna is telling, we have to leave that anger, we have to leave the attachment, we have to leave the fear. And somebody may question, okay, but in Nectar of Instructions, Srila Prabhupada writes, in Rupa Goswami mentioned that 6 things a person has to control. Vacho vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jihva vegam, udaro prastha vegam. Only that person can able to make shishya, prithivimcha shishyam. He can make and preach. And in the purport, Prabhupada writes, so these, if one able to control these 6, he should be called as Goswami, and he is the eligible person to preach. And in the later purports, Srila Prabhupada writes, but the krodha, we may not be completely stopping, but we can utilize that in Krishna service. So even krodha, we utilize in Krishna service. How? And Lord Hanuman, the best example is Lord Hanuman himself. And another example, Arjuna. Arjuna also used anger. So anything can be utilized in Krishna service, but not on the Krishna's devotee. So being angry is different than the showing anger. What is the difference? Being angry means always anger. So like a snake, venomous snake. So there is a nice example, nice pastime. Once a snake become, by the association of Narad Muni, it became a saint, devotee. So it became a devotee and it thought, okay, I should not show anger to anybody. And knowing that, all the boys throwing stones at that snake. And the snake came to Narad Muni. Narad Muni, as you said, I become Shanta, peaceful, mild, gentle, but these people are throwing stones at me. And Narad Muni tells, that's very good, but you can show anger, don't bite them, but when they are throwing stones, just raise your hoods and show them. Then feels they scared and they run away. So similarly, devotee, when it is required, so he can show. Showing is different than being in the anger. So you can easily observe the symptoms, because I was one of the patients of anger. So when we get real anger, psychology says your hands tremble, your voice little bit trembles, and you feel that hot air coming from your ears. Your eyes becomes red hot. Have you ever experienced? We do. So that's the symptom that you are. When we get these kind of symptoms, like in this verse also we've seen that he was hissing like a snake. Hiranyakashipu was hissing like a snake, and his body trembled because in the highest anger he is showing. And we see Lord also shows anger to many instances. He showed anger to different people in many instances. One example we get very nicely explained in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam 1st canto, when Ashwadhama, after killing the Upapandavas, he was going away, and Arjuna was chased him, and he caught hold of him. And in that verses it is mentioned that Arjuna, his eyes are so reddish out of anger. And it is also mentioned, Lord also in an angry mood, but his eyes were like a lotus petals. Although he is angry, but he is not carried away by that anger. Although he is showing anger, but his eyes are like a lotus petals. So Krishna will never deviate from his position. Achyuta, he will never come to the material modes, under the influence of material modes. That's the position of Krishna. So with the association of the holy name and the devotional service, a devotee also develops that kind of symptom. And we also seen in Lilamrita, Srila Prabhupada sometimes become angry at his devotees. But that anger is just like a flash, only to that instant. After that he is like a rose petal, very soft. When he is angry, he was like a thunderbolt. But when it comes to show that love, he is very much mild. And the emotions, so there are very powerful emotions in this world. What are the different emotions that we exchange with other person in general? We exchange love. What are the other emotions? Grief, yes. Anger. Sadness, one of the expression. Emotion. So there are so many emotions you can exchange with somebody. So love, care, warmth. And it is mentioned that happiness, yes. And it is mentioned among all the emotions, 3 emotions are very, very powerful. So one is love. The emotion of love is very much powerful. And that is exactly opposite to the lust. Love is exactly opposite to the lust. So when it is applied to our own enjoyment, that is lust. When it is applied for enjoyment of others, that is love. And the highest love we can express in the devotional service. And the other powerful emotion is fear. Fear is such a powerful emotion that person does anything and everything out of fear. And we have so many examples in the world also. Out of fear, people do so many things. And the third highest emotion is anger. In the anger also, people do so many things. And after that they regret, oh my God, what I did. Sometimes mother beats. Good mother nowadays is illegal to beat anybody. But back in days we have seen sometimes mother out of anger to correct that naughty child. Even Yashoda Maya has to correct the naughty child. He has to show that anger. So, but in general, Yashoda Maya is showing anger in a transcendental realm. But in the material world, when that comes, person shows anger out of passion. So, people beat each other. I have seen many of my friends out of anger beating each other, and they were professional angry people. Because politicians recruit them to kill somebody. I was coming from different background, not me, in the place where I was raised. That's called settlement area. During Indira Gandhi time, so all these robbers, they were settled and don't commit any of these illegal activities. We'll give you railway employment. But still they continue because their generations wise they were like that. So one of my classmates is from that family, this I know. So anger, people use that angry for different purposes. But being a devotee, we don't use anger in our day-to-day activities, especially when we're dealing with the devotees. Because as here it is mentioned, that Ayushriya Yasho Dharmam Lokan Ashisha Evacha. So it diminishes our Ayu. And this verse especially quoted in 10th canto 4th chapter. Any guesses where it is, in which relation it is mentioned? What is the first chapter, 10th canto? Advent of Lord Krishna. And second chapter? Prayers. Third chapter? Birth of Lord Krishna, yes. And after Krishna born, this is the 4th chapter. So Krishna went to Vrindavan, Gokul. So knowing that Krishna has born, Kamsa called all his friends. In the Krishna book, when you read that, it's so nice to see. Prabhupada gives title to each demon. Demon Baka, demon Pralamba, demon Keshi, everyone. So after mentioning everything, so this is the last verse in this chapter. It is mentioned by Sukadeva Goswami because all these demons are giving advice to Kamsa that you kill. You torture all the people, all the Brahmanas. So then Krishna will come. And they also decided we will kill all the babies born within this 60 days. So in that it is mentioned that by Sukadeva Goswami, he says, when one mistreats great souls, his lifespan, opulences, reputation, religion, possessions and good fortune are all destroyed. And many examples are there. Even among the devotees, when somebody mistreats others, their opulences, reputation obviously goes. Nobody like to sit with them. Reputation is the first one to go. And religion. So that's not a good practice. And possessions and good fortune, all are destroyed. So from this purport, this is what we have to take, that we should not show, and we have to take the tolerant behavior of Prahlad Maharaj in a reversible situations. So anything. And our greatest enemy is not the outside person. Our greatest enemy is mana, our own mind itself. In Avanti Brahmana case, he tells that it is not, none of them are the causes of my misery. My misery is my own mind. My destination is my own mind is giving. Okay, I'll stop here. If you have any questions or comments, corrections, please. Hare Krishna. Mike is.
So you mentioned that love, fear and anger, they are the three strongest emotions. So can we say that Dhruva Maharaj used anger to achieve the highest destination? Like, he was angry when he was insulted. So can we say that he used?
Out of anger, because he felt very much insulted. So he took it to his heart. But because of the association of great devotee, Narada Muni, and because of the devotional process which he underwent, austerity, and that purified his heart, and although out of anger he wanted to achieve something, but the devotee intervened and the whole destination got changed. So he got darshan of the Lord. So that's why, although he did the tapasya to attain the highest destination, highest kingdom, greater than his own grandfather, when Lord awarded him Dhruvaloka, he says, no, Swami kutatosmi varam nayache. So I don't want. So I came in search of broken pieces of glass, but you gave me diamonds, I don't want anything else. So anger itself is not awarding him the destination, but the association of devotee giving him. So that is very important. So that's why when we expressing our emotions also, we have to follow under the footsteps of Mahajanas and the guidance of devotees. Sukdev Prabhu, would you like to add this? Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Kshitva Parusha Vacha. Kshitva means rebuking. Parusha with very harsh Vacha words. So Hiranyakashipu with very cruel words. He is rebuking Prahlad Maharaj. And it is mentioned that in one lecture I heard, when Hiranyakashipu torturing his son, Prahlad Maharaj is thinking, my father is playing with me. That's why here it is mentioned that he is very much restrained and he is avanatam, very gentle and mild. Because he is not considering his father is punishing him. He is considering my father is playing with me. So that's his consciousness. Imagine 5-year-old boy.
Extraordinary.
Extraordinary. Hare Krishna.
In the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes that verse from the 10th canto.
Yes, Prabhu.
Now, in practical, how do we see that being applied at this age? I mean, there's so much, that atrocities is done towards the devotees or towards the who are following the principle, but those people are actually living as opulent, as long life, and they seems to be. I'm not sure that sooner or later they might get, but how do we see that in the modern context on that?
The highest good fortune one can get in one's life is getting a seed of devotion in their heart. So by being inimical to the devotee, a person loses that opportunity to get that good fortune. And anyway, nobody follows religion in these days. those people who are against, at least. And their possessions coming from the previous activities, but that will destroy everything. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita 16th chapter Krishna mentions, so he puts them in a situation that they will not commit this again. Most hellish. And he gives them animal life, where when they show these kind of emotions to other devotees, so they will be perpetually. That's why he says, which verse is there? Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, I perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. So they will be glide down to, although they got the rarest opportunity to become a human being, but because of misusing that opportunity out of passion and ignorance, they will be cast into the ocean of material existence, sliding down to demoniac species. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Grandhara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai.